Part 1. Storm meets Shadow. Lyralee adjusted her storm blue leather armor as she entered the Floating Academy's central training arena, lightning crackling faintly around her fingertips. The crystalline spires of Skyreach Academy caught the morning light, suspended impossibly between mountain peaks by ancient magic that hummed through the very stones beneath her feet. "Mountain Clan barbarian thinks she belongs here," drawled a cultured voice behind her. She turned to face Thane Morven, the Shadow Kingdom's prize student, his midnight black dragon rider gear immaculate despite the early hour. His dark hair was perfectly styled, and his calculating grey eyes assessed her with the cold precision his kingdom was known for. "Valley nobility thinks fancy clothes make him a warrior," Lyralee shot back, her hand moving instinctively to the lightning-charged crystals at her belt. Their dragons circled overhead in the Academy's aerial training space, Tempest, her storm dragon, crackling with electrical energy, while Onyx, his shadow dragon, seemed to absorb light itself. The two creatures maintained careful distance, their opposing natures creating visible tension in the air around them. Professor Valdris stepped between the students, her weathered face stern. "Today's exercise requires perfect elemental coordination. You'll be working together to navigate the shifting maze." Together? Thane's composed mask slipped for just a moment. "The maze responds to combined elemental magic," Professor Valdris explained. "Storm magic alone will trigger lightning traps. Shadow magic alone will activate void snares. Only perfect balance between opposing forces can safely navigate the course." Lyralee felt her jaw clench. Working with Thane meant trusting someone whose kingdom had killed her grandfather in the mountain wars. "I work better alone, Professor." "Academic partnerships are not optional," the professor replied firmly. "Your dragon's magic resonates in ways we've never observed before. This exercise will help us understand why." Part 2. Reluctant partnership. The shifting maze materialized around them. Stone walls that rearranged themselves every few minutes, creating new pathways and dead ends. Lyralee could sense the electrical traps humming in the walls, while Thane's shadow-attuned senses detected the void magic threaded through the maze's foundation. "Your storm magic is too aggressive," Thane observed as they approached the first junction. "You're announcing our presence to every trap in here." "Your shadow magic is too passive," Lyralee countered. "You're not providing enough energy to counter the void elements." Despite their bickering, they began to find a rhythm. When Lyralee channeled lightning into the walls to reveal hidden passages, Thane wrapped her energy in shadows to muffle its signature. When he used darkness to scout ahead, she provided just enough electrical current to keep the void magic from consuming his reconnaissance spells. "Left passage," Thane murmured, his voice unusually gentle. "There's a shadow bridge about 50 feet ahead, but it's unstable." Lyralee nodded, understanding immediately. She sent a carefully controlled stream of lightning along the bridge supports, while Thane reinforced the shadow construct with his own magic. Their combined energy created something entirely new, a bridge that sparkled with contained lightning while maintaining the solid darkness of shadow magic. "How did you know to do that?" she asked as they crossed safely. "Your magic doesn't fight mine the way the textbooks say it should," Thane admitted. "It's like storm and shadow were meant to work together." Above them, their dragons had begun flying in synchronized patterns, Tempest's lightning illuminating the spaces where Onyx's shadow magic gathered. The sight was beautiful and unprecedented. "The Academy has been waiting 300 years for riders whose dragons could do that," Lyralee said softly. "Political implications aside?" Thane asked, his grey eyes meeting hers directly for the first time. "Maybe some things are more important than politics." Part 3. Dangerous discoveries. 3 weeks of partnered training sessions had transformed their initial rivalry into something more complex. Lorelei found herself looking forward to their study sessions in the ancient library, where Thane's strategic mind complemented her intuitive approach to dragon magic theory. The historical texts mention storm-shadow partnerships during the First Dragon War, Thane said, pointing to an illuminated manuscript. They were considered the most powerful tactical combinations ever recorded. What happened to them? Liralee asked, leaning closer to read the faded text. Political marriages, family obligations. The partnership was too dangerous to existing power structures. Thane's voice carried an odd tension. The kingdoms couldn't risk their heirs forming alliances that might supersede royal authority. Liralee felt a chill that had nothing to do with the library's temperature. Is that why you're here? Political marriage arrangements? Thane's laugh was bitter. 3 separate proposals are waiting for my response when I graduate, all carefully chosen to strengthen Shadowmere's territorial claims. And what do you want? She asked quietly. Before Thane could answer, warning bells began ringing throughout the academy. Professor Valdris's voice echoed through the magical communication crystals. All students to defensive positions, void dragons approaching from the northern peaks. Through the library's crystalline windows, they could see the approaching threat, twisted dragons that had been corrupted by void magic, their forms shifting between solid and ethereal. Regular dragon magic couldn't touch them effectively. The combined storm shadow technique, Liralee said, understanding immediately. It's only theoretical, Thane warned, but he was already moving toward the window. We've never attempted it at full power. Then we learn fast, she replied, calling Tempest with her whistle while Thane summoned Onyx through their mental bond. Part 4. United against darkness. The battle above Skyreach Academy was unlike anything in the historical records. Void dragons phased in and out of reality, making them nearly impossible to target with conventional magic. Academy defenders struggled to mount any effective resistance. Storm magic can disrupt their phase shifting, Liralee called to Thane as they mounted their dragons, but only if shadow magic anchors them in this reality first. The timing has to be perfect, Thane replied, his usual composure replaced by fierce determination. If we're off by even seconds, the feedback could kill us both. They launched into the aerial battle space, Tempest and Onyx moving in perfect synchronization despite their opposing natures. Liralee could feel Thane's tactical mind working alongside her storm instincts, creating a partnership that transcended their individual abilities. The first void dragon swooped toward them, its form flickering between solid and ethereal. Thane wrapped it in shadows just as Liralee released a controlled lightning strike. The creature solidified with a shriek of rage and pain, becoming vulnerable to the Academy's other defenders. Again, Thane called, already targeting the next void dragon. 2 more coming from the east. Their combined magic created spectacular displays across the sky. Lightning that cast no shadows because it was perfectly balanced with darkness. Shadow constructs that crackled with contained electrical energy. Below them, Academy students and instructors watched in amazement as the legendary Storm Shadow partnership came alive. After the last void dragon fell, they landed on the Academy's main platform, both exhausted but exhilarated. Around them, students from all 5 kingdoms stared at what they'd accomplished together. The kingdoms will demand an explanation, Thane said quietly, his grey eyes sad despite their victory. Let them demand, Liralee replied, taking his hand for the first time. Some partnerships are worth fighting for. Part 5. Choosing love over legacy. The summons arrived 3 days after the Void Dragon attack. Both students were called before the Academy Council, where representatives from their respective kingdoms waited with stern expressions and political ultimatums. Lady Liralee will return to Stormhold immediately, declared the Mountain Clan ambassador. This partnership threatens the natural order between our peoples. Lord Thane's betrothal contracts require immediate finalization, added Shadowmere's diplomatic envoy. "The Valley Kingdoms cannot afford romantic complications at this crucial time." Professor Valdris stood before the council with a thick tome of dragon magic research. With respect to both kingdoms, these students have demonstrated magical capabilities not seen in 3 centuries. Their partnership could revolutionize our understanding of elemental balance. "Academy interests do not supersede royal authority," the Shadowmere envoy replied coldly. Thane stepped forward, his usual diplomatic composure replaced by quiet determination. "Actually, they do. I renounce my claim to the Shadowmere succession. I choose to remain at the Academy as a research partner and instructor." Lirelei felt her heart race as she understood what he was offering, not just love, but freedom from the political expectations that had defined both their lives. "The mountain clans value strength above bloodlines," she announced. "I choose the strength that comes from partnership over the weakness of old hatreds." The kingdom representatives left in fury, but the Academy Council voted unanimously to establish a new program. Cross-kingdom magical partnerships that would serve as bridges between realms rather than weapons for them. 6 months later, Lirelei and Thane stood before their first class of paired students from different kingdoms, teaching the storm shadow techniques they'd developed together. Above them, Tempest and Onyx flew in perfect harmony, their opposing magics creating something beautiful and unprecedented. "Some traditions are worth preserving," Thane said, watching their students practice the difficult balancing exercises. "And some are worth creating new," Lirelei replied, her hand finding his as they guided their students toward magical partnerships that might one day heal the ancient divisions between their peoples. Their love had become more than personal happiness. It was proof that even the deepest conflicts could be transformed into harmony when 2 hearts chose trust over fear.